Hey y'all, welcome back for another episode of Candy Coated Shenanigans, Sour Patch Kid edition. Of course, it is the second Sunday, and you always know second weeks is all about the moolah. So I cannot wait to dig into the information. You're definitely going to want to grab a pen and a piece of paper because you're going to jot down as much as you can follow. Sorry. I do that every time. Like, I just love that song. But anyways, we are getting into finances today. The area or topic is going to be on credit, and really just diving into good credit, bad credit, no credit, how to manage your credit, the importance of credit, what all impacts your credit, and things not to do, even though sometimes it makes sense in our minds, that can have a negative impact on your credit, right? So one of the first things I always like to talk about when we talk about credit is making sure you understand what a credit score does or what it is providing you. So your credit score is a measure of how likely you really are to pay back a loan or debt that you borrow. It's giving a lender a general idea of how financially responsible you are. And your score is derived from many factors like payment history, anything that's considered unpaid debt, length of your credit history, your types of credit, and also how many times you're applying for new credit. So we have to be mindful. Credit usually ranges from 300, which is very low, to 850, meaning perfection. But each reporting agency uses different scoring criteria. So sometimes, if you have ever received your credit score from all three credit bureaus, and your number might be different, you're like, how can my credit score be different across different bureaus? That's why, because what they use in their criteria can be different. So having multiple scores is normal. When they're out of balance, that's when we need to do some review, and we're going to get into that. So what does it mean to have no credit, right? We talk about good credit, bad credit, no credit. Basically that there is no credit history for you. There's nothing for the reporting agencies to assess. And it's pretty much like there's an invisible blueprint of you. But bad credit means, which is usually considered like a lower credit score. And that could be a number of factors. It could be the fact that you have repeatedly missed on-time payments. You're using too much of your overall revolving credit, which can have a negative impact on your credit score. And also research showed that about 12% of adults have a FICO score of 550 or lower. We will get into what FICO means, but that definitely means when you are attempting to borrow, you're paying far higher interest rates. You are deemed a liability in that area, and you have to take the necessary steps to increase your credit score to get better rates and opportunities. Credit, whether we want to, admit it or not, really makes the world go round for cars, for homes, anything that you would have to take out a loan for. Your credit is going to be reviewed, just as a FYI for everyone. And then good credit is just mainly you are looked at in a good light. You've made on-time payments. You avoid going to the credit limit or over the credit limit, and you have a long-standing credit history. And it can also be the mix of credit, right? The mix of credit could be credit cards, it could be a home loan, it could be car payments. Your portfolio is mixed, so they can see how you act in different arenas, and based on your actions in all of those arenas, if it's well, you'll have a good credit score. But don't be discouraged if you don't have credit or you have bad credit. There are definitely ways to build and establish credit. It definitely takes time. I would love to say there is a 30-day fix, a 60-day fix. There are things that I will tell you in this video that will help you along in the process. but it's not end all be all. I'm not promising anybody you're going to jump 100 points, but if you do, congratulations, and let me know. Let me know what's going on with you. There are definitely good credit behaviors you could utilize to move forward. You want to be very responsible when you're using your credit. Credit cards are a great way to build credit history, but you need to make sure you're doing your payments on time and that your utilization percentage is not over the threshold that they recommend. Definitely want to stay under your limits. Don't max out your cards. That is not a good look unless you're maxing and paying. Like, that's a little bit better. But if you're maxing it and then you can only make the minimum payment, you shouldn't have spent what you spent. You can become an authorized user. I don't know how many people know about this, but other people can add you as authorized users so you can begin to build your credit. Now, I'm going to say this. Do not be offended if you ask somebody if you can become an authorized user on their credit card or account and they say no. Credit is no joke. And one of the biggest things or the biggest arguments that people have is money. And in extension to that is about credit, right? I did something for someone. Maybe you added somebody to your phone bill and they don't pay the phone bill. So now you're stuck paying it, because if you don't pay it, it could go into collections. And then if it goes into collections, it hits your credit report. Or you co-sign on a loan and somebody does not pay back the loan, and now that's impacting your credit. People have their own thoughts and their own experiences when it comes to credit. So do not be offended if you ask and they say no. It's okay. It is okay. Another good way to build credit, if you have bad credit or no credit, is a secure credit card. There is a Discover card. I can't remember all the details off the top of my head. There is a Discover card where, and let me rewind. What I mean when I say it's a secure card is you will upfront a limit, $200, $500, $1,000. You give that money upfront. They give you a credit card. Everything is going to work like a real credit card would work. They're going to report to the credit bureau. You will get monthly statements if you have a balance, all this stuff. And after about 6 to 8 months, they're going to do an account review. Now, if you've been responsible with that card, you can have the opportunity to go from a secure credit card to a normal credit card, and they will give you your money back. But that means you made smart decisions, and now they are fronting an opportunity for you to roll right into a normal credit card, and they're not going to do a hard pull on your credit, which is a ding sometimes on your credit report, so to your overall credit score. So it's a great opportunity that you have, and I will definitely leave some information in the area below on YouTube so you can figure out how to dive deeper into that, right? I'm here to share. And another thing to build or establish is just checking your credit report, seeing what's on there, what's outstanding, those type of things, which leads me into a great segue because we're going to talk about your credit report. And I don't know how many people know this, but you can actually get your credit report for free. And yes, you can go through the different websites, Experian. I love going through Experian to get my credit report, and it has some other little cool things, and I like how it looks. But you can go to annualcreditreport.com and access your credit report for free. And officially, this was through April 2021, but they may be extending it. They just need to extend it at this point. But if you have not gotten access, now is the perfect time. Go access your credit report, see what's on there. And just so you know that monitoring your credit report and wanting a credit score are two different things. Most times when you're paying for something and it pertains to your credit, it's so you can have access to multiple credit scores across the different bureaus. But your actual report showing the information, what is outstanding, what your history has been, is free. So just know that when you're paying, decide what you want to pay for and what you're not, gonna pay for it. I'm just gonna say that. I use Experian. I do not pay for stuff. I do not make my clients pay for stuff. We do get to see their Experian credit score there, and there are plenty of ways to see your FICO score. It could be through a bank. Your banks usually have an option to see your FICO score, and so do your credit card companies if you have a credit card. Usually there's some type of linkage there. So you don't have to pay for anything. So one of the things that we assume once we get our credit report is because your credit report is linked to your social security number, everything on there is factual, good, and properly accounted for. And that is wrong. I've had that happen multiple times where there have been inaccurate information still being reported on my credit report, and it has an impact on my credit score. So I had to go through the process to dispute and to discuss and get it updated, and been very successful with doing that. Two examples that I can give you if you're thinking like, no, my stuff is right. I had a student loan balance and a car lease balance listed on my credit report. Now, the reason why I say the information was inaccurate was not because they weren't mine. They were mine, but they showed balances after I had already paid everything in full. So I had I'd say about $4,000 or $5,000 of something on my credit report showing that I owed money and I had paid for it. Now, how long would that have sat there had I not reviewed my information? I don't know. The student loan been sitting there for a long time because I have not paid student loan payments since like 2015 or 2016. And I corrected that maybe within the last 7-8 months. But the car loan, I caught that within a couple months of knowing I had finished the payment. So check your information. Don't assume that all of your credit reports have the same information either. Different people are accounting for different things. It's really weird. And it is important that you want to check addresses, all types of things, just to make sure that you are fully aware what is tagged to you, and you can correct the things that should not be tagged to you. I want to go through a little bit the different things that can impact your credit score and by how much. I think this is important to know as you make different decisions in life. Sometimes we'll be like, oh, we're not going to pay this, or oh, we'll wait on this, or oh, we'll do this late, not understanding the makeup of credit scores. So your payment history accounts for 35% of your FICO score. And I've mentioned multiple times about FICO score. So before I get into that, why don't I tell you about it? So your FICO score is a numeric summary of your credit report. And this is used by about 90% of lenders, which is a huge chunk. And like I had said before, when we talk about anything pertaining to credit, it determines how likely you really are to repay a loan. This will impact how much you can borrow, how many months you have to repay what you borrow, and how much it will cost you in interest. So think about not having that number under control can affect how much you can actually get in a loan, how long you have to repay that loan, and then your interest rate. So if I am doing well and my credit score is good, I can get a lower interest rate, meaning I pay less long term. Though there are other credit scores, this is the most widely used. The others have a different formula, and that then shows you why across different reporting bureaus, you get different numbers. I think we're up to FICO 10 right now, but a lot of places you will see still use FICO 8 or FICO 9. That's just the genetic makeup of what factors are considered and at what percent. They do say that the average score for Americans is 701. I would love to see that data and see if it's really true, but that's what they say, so that's what I'm reporting to you. I'm going to get into a tip shortly. I do want to go to the things that impact your credit score, and then I have a tip that I think a lot of people are not mindful of, and I want to make sure that I am giving you everything possible to do the best possible when it comes to your money. Make it work for you. So as I was saying before, we're going to go back to the things that impact your credit score. So you have payment history that accounts for 35%. If you are not able to make the payment they have as your minimum, reach out. Do not make a payment because you like, I can't make the minimum payment. Reach out and see if they have assistance or an assistance program, or maybe they can provide additional time to make the payment. Do not ignore the fact that you have a payment due, right? A lot of these places and a lot of these companies will work with you, but you have to do a little bit of work, which will include picking up the phone and calling them and saying, hey, I need assistance. And it's okay to need assistance. The next area we have is credit utilization. This is your total revolving credit being used divided by your total revolving credit limit. And rule of thumb is using anything more than 30% can have a negative impact, and it accounts for 30% of your score. So just those two alone, your payment history and your credit utilization, is 65% of your FICO score. That's a lot, right? So if you're not paying on time and you're also using 30%, it's going to be a downward spiral with your credit score. Credit history length actually accounts for 15%. And that's how long you've had different credit accounts. Clearly, the longer you have them, the more history you have to put into the average, because it is the average. So if you get a card and it's a month old, and then you have a card that is 6 years old, and those are the only two, you got two cards between 0 and 6, so your average is 3 years of history. You have to be mindful of that. As you apply for new cards, it can definitely tamper with your credit history. And that is why one of the reasons why of applying for all these new cards is not a good look. It's also not a good look because it looks like you need cash fast, and you can't wait for it. So they are anticipating that you're going to make a large expenditure that you cannot afford. And lastly, I have two things on here. New credit, the number of accounts that you've recently opened as hard inquiries, is 10%. I would say you should not have more than 2 new inquiries like every other year on average. So be strategic for what you're applying for, because those inquiries are going to stay on. They will stay on for a solid 2 years. I will fact check that though, and I'll put it in the bio below. But think about putting out a request and then something staying with you for 2 years because all you did was ask. So be mindful about what you're asking for. And then you have credit mix, and this is the diversity of the portfolio accounts. And this is what I was talking about earlier, like different credit cards, car loans, student loans, mortgage. They want to see versatility so they can actually see how you function in these different arenas and if you do it well. Now, one of the things that I said I was going to do was a tip, and this is a good tip. Do not pay off a credit card and close the account. I see people do that all the time, and it is a no bueno. I think that's no good. No bueno, okay? That is not going to help your credit score. You are erasing credit history, and your credit score will drop and you will be rebuilding. So first of all, if you remember what I just said, credit history length impacts your credit score, and that was 15%. So if you pay off a credit card, which it's great to pay off your credit cards, that's not the problem, and then you close the account, if that was an account that had been open for 10 years, that 10 years of history length is gone. It's gone. It's like it never existed. And that, think about if all your new other cards are more recent. So now your average history length changes drastically. So that can have a huge, huge impact. It is not necessary to close these accounts. What I would tell people to do is, if you don't need to spend money all the time on the card, don't spend money all the time on the card. You can, once in a blue moon, make a purchase, right? If you know you go there, make a purchase to keep the account active. Now, I do know certain accounts are harder, right? If I have a Raymore and Flanagan, which if you're not in this area is a furniture store. If I have a Raymore and Flanagan card and I got it because I got a discount on some furniture by using it, and then I don't buy any more furniture, it becomes difficult. But I might be able to go there and maybe I pick up a table or a little breakfast chair or a lamp or some decor if I can. If you can't, okay, I get that. But closing like normal major credit cards like a Visa, a MasterCard, an Express card, those type of things, do not do that. Do not do it. I even say if you have a jewelry store card and you can keep it open, especially if it is adding a nice chunk of history to your overall credit, do what you got to do. You don't have to go crazy. You can buy something small just to keep the account open and active. So be mindful as people are sending you reminders that, hey, haven't had activity in 2 years. If we don't see anything in 3 months, we're going to close it. Be mindful because they will close it and it will impact your credit. And I want to give you, as a finish up, some ways to build your credit. I can't guarantee that this is going to have drastic differences, but every little thing counts. So I have a couple of things. One, Experian allows you to add your utilities, and some may even allow you to add rent payments to show your payment history, right? To show something that you do diligently each month, which for utilities, I've seen it be your cell phone, National Fuel, National Grid. I'm trying to think what else they get into. Oh, I also believe they will do your subscriptions. If they do not do them, they have been updating certain things to allow for them. So that's really great. You do have to link your checking or credit card account to Experian for them to pull the information, but it has been very secure. I use it. I have clients that use it, and I've never had a problem, and they haven't either. Pay off balances. It's tax season, so you might be getting a nice sum of money. Am I saying don't put money into savings, don't make smart decisions? No, but the money is there. If you have a balance that's outstanding, if you have something that is in collections and maybe hasn't hit your credit report yet, call them up, be responsible, pay it down, and move forward. You can ask for higher credit limits. I always say, people, be careful. Okay, number one, you need to have a decent credit score for them to even take you seriously, as well as a good payment history. Because if you don't have that, it's not going to happen. Don't waste your time. What this would do, though, is increase your spending allowance, and it will actually allow for a lower utilization percentage. Now, the purpose of this is credit score impact. This is not for you to go out and spend more money. So if you are not in control right now, don't ask for no higher limits until you can get in control. Like, I don't want you to get in worse shape than you're in, okay? So be mindful if that is a tactic you are going to use. Also, you want to see if you have anything that is delinquent. Can you do a goodwill letter, forgiveness removal letter? Call them up, see what you can work out, see what your options are. And you can dispute things online. I prefer, if it is a serious type of dispute, to write a letter, but you can dispute things online as well. And begin that dialogue of, hey, this isn't mine. Hey, I want this reviewed. Hey, this has been paid. Why is it showing like that? So you do have options. I hope all of this information is helpful to each one of you. If your stuff is together, but the person next to you is not, help them. Sit them down and watch this video. It's not that long. If you know a friend that really is focusing on getting their credit together, send them this video, subscribe, share, do all those things. Like they always say that it takes a village to raise a child, but truthfully, it takes a village to get through life, period. Okay, my need for a village does not change because I done got older. I need people to feed into me, to share things, to work with me, to get where I know I'm supposed to be. The village doesn't just disperse because of age. So help those around you, do the right thing, check out your information. I will see you all hopefully next week with a fresh episode of Candy Coated Shenanigans, Sour Patch Kid edition, and it will be on Dating Chronicles. The joy. All right, have a great week.